you fear a lot of these overlap. Now, again, if Moore can play more on the outside.
Sorry. Moore can play more. Sorry.
Child.
That's fair.
That's great. And I'm sure
he probably is going to have to. And they do some things to do. There's the open.
This is the Buffalo Plus Podcast, brought to you by Connors and Ferris.
All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus Podcast, presented by Connors and Ferris. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates. I am Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. We're getting into our 10 biggest storylines of this offseason. Going to talk a little bit about the offense, a little bit about the defense, a little bit about the opportunities ahead for this team as they get ready for mandatory minicamp, training camp, then, of course, the start of the season, which feels right around the corner, honestly. But let's start first and foremost with Josh Allen and Josh Palmer. Josh, and where you kind of set your expectations.
I want to keep my expectations low. Now, and this is nothing about Josh Palmer.
Yeah.
It's just the idea of a new player coming in and how it's going to impact this offense. Now, there's a lot of news about Stephon Diggs in the world right now, but when Diggs came in as a player, he was pretty well established, and he was really great from the get-go. So was Cole Beasley, John Brown, like all those guys played well. It's not always that easy. I think it made it look easy. Josh was a little younger. It was different. Those guys were, we forget, like Beasley was sort of a forgotten guy a little bit in Dallas. Like they liked him. They didn't love him. Comes to Buffalo, and I thought he played really well, and Diggs is good. You know, when Curtis Samuel came in last year, I had high expectations, as we know. And it just, for whatever reason, didn't work. And then he had the injuries, and you think, oh, I wish this was better. So I'm not sitting there saying, great. I do like his skill set.
Yeah.
We saw him it's minicamp, OTA. Some people go way over the top in what they see there. But he does look like a player with a skill set who can play on the outside that should help this offense.
I think you've said it before, Mike, where you've gone back and forth about how much does Josh elevate individual players, because he elevates the team with himself and everything that he does. So I think that's important to know. And like I said, I always kind of look at it too of, okay, you're signing somebody. That team let that person also go for a reason. It doesn't mean that you can't find something, unlock something, find him in a better scheme and a better fit, all of those things. But I'm with you where it's the offseason flow chart of you guys, your team signs the player, you love it. The player you like signs with a different team. It's like, that's too much money. I wouldn't do that. So like it is, but I have said before, I think he has such a high upside because it's a position, it's a role in the Bills offense that has a glaring hole that he immediately comes in to fit.
Yeah. I think from what we saw very briefly on the field for OTAs, like you see what he could add, the possibility of, okay, if he hits his ceiling, like what that could look like. But for me, for Josh Palmer, it's like there is an opportunity there, and there's a huge one. So will he take advantage of that? And how quickly can he build a rapport with Josh? Because we have seen guys in some instances, you mentioned Curtis Samuel, someone who has kind of struggled early on to have that chemistry with Josh Allen. But that being said, I think what Josh Palmer can add, I liked the Bills signing him, and my expectation, like, do you think he could lead the Bills in receiving yards?
Oh, no, there's no question. I think he could. I think Shakir's going to get a lot more attention this year.
I always love that when we play the could game. It's like, hey, like,
yeah,
when they play the players that are like in the Masters fields, like, could you win? It's like legally he's allowed to. Josh Palmer is legally allowed to possibly lead the team. He could.
He does take on a little bit of Mac Hollins' role, right?
Yeah.
Playing on the outside and when getting down the field. Could he? Yes, because I do think he has shown that. He's had over 100 targets in a season before, put up like 800 yards. Quite honestly, if you look at his numbers, I think it was 2022, his numbers were almost identical, and I'm going to use that word loosely, to what Khalil Shakir did last year, and we all loved that because Shakir was really good. So he has already shown he can put up those numbers in a lesser offense with a lesser quarterback, as much as some people just love Justin Herbert. He ain't Josh Allen. No. So yes, but I do like I see the reasons why they went to get him. I do like his skill set, and I think it can happen.
Jenna talks about chemistry. It's also a little bit about learning how to play with Josh because he is not typical in the sense of he's not a great anticipatory thrower. Like, and it's not just run your routes and they talk about it's got to be 12 steps and break here. Like that was Brady. Like, I'm going to throw to a ball to a spot. You better be there. Josh is much more at times. It sounds like a dumb sentence, but the fact of reading and reacting. And it's a little bit off script is when Josh is that real Josh Allen experience. So it's how will they connect and the trust, because early on in the season, I know a lot of people, myself included, were done with Mac Hollins. It was like, couldn't make a couple plays, had a drop in the first game. And it's like, this guy stinks. And then
I literally forgot that, but yeah.
Right?
Early on where you're like, oof, yikes. And then now it's like, oh. Well.
And then he's making big plays in the AFC Championship game. So it is part of the learning curve. It's learning how to play with Josh. It's learning how to fit into a new system. And like I said, that's a big part also of Joe Brady. There is a lot of continuity coming back on this team. I think that gets lost with all the signings, but there's like 83%. They're the third highest team that has returning players coming back on their roster. So like, can you get up to speed and work in with what's already around?
I feel like Josh is intuitive in terms of that. Like, I feel
Good
like
point.
he very much reads the defense, is anticipatory, but it is a little bit different where it's not like, hey, this is, like you said, take 12 steps in and then cut.
Right.
Like, he has a feel for it. So you have to get adjusted to that. And players have talked about also just how hard he throws the ball. Like, I know it sounds silly, but like things like that
Yeah.
there is a ramping up process.
And it plays into it because his arm talent is absurd.
That's why he doesn't have to be a great read and like he doesn't have to be before the defense. He can see what the defense does and then just has a hand cannon that can put the ball where they're not.
Yes. And he will make those throws
Yeah.
and he will make them. And also, I believe maybe I'm using the term right. I think I'm gaslighting here a little bit.
Oh,
But Josh only throws his bad passes to Dalton Kincaid.
That is true.
Is that what I was doing there? Did I use the term correctly?
Josh needs to be better for Dalton. And they both need to be better for each other this year for the sake of the Bills offense.
it's too early for that. All right. Dan, buy more stock.
Good.
Elijah adds more? Question mark.
Good pun.
Thank you.
Yeah, there are
Mike-
a lot of these.
yeah,
we
we're-
worked on
yeah.
these quite hard.
Yes.
Look, I'm
Very TV of us.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying, much like Josh Palmer. When Elijah Moore signed, I was not overly excited. And my concern lies with you're paying. I think his role could be very similar to Curtis Samuel. Now, I've also heard Beauvais was talking on his podcast, Always Game Day. Like, could he be a John Brown? Could he play a little bit more outside? Because you think of his size is more of a slot, but he has played on the outside. He did with Cleveland, things like that. I'm struggling to find out where he is going to fit in this offense. And maybe that's where I just have a little bit of hesitation because the Bills pretty much run 11 personnel. That's in large part because of Dalton Kincaid. And we will get to that in a little bit. But if you're rolling out 3 wide receivers, you're thinking it's Palmer on the outside, Keon on the outside, and Shakir. So
right. In the
where
slot. Yeah.
right. And I liked what Curtis Samuel. I'm buying Curtis Samuel stock at what he did at the end of the year because I really think his injuries were a problem. So where does Elijah Moore fit in? I guess that's where I am just a little bit. Now I heard again, he looked great in OTAs. That's awesome. It's really encouraging. I do want to see more once we get to padded practices at Fisher, things like that.
His speed, though, was evident. Like, I know you're right. Like, not padded, all that stuff. But I was like, oh, he definitely stood out in that way where you're like, he's fast. There he is. You see that. And that's something that this Bills offense has been lacking.
He's put up decent numbers and he's gotten a lot of targets with some shitty quarterbacks,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? I mean, he just has.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily that means this is the point I was making with Josh Allen when I say he doesn't necessarily elevate the stats of players. He just elevates the whole damn team because he'll figure out how to get it to whoever. But I think he can be a guy like that can be impactful. It just may not be in a total numbers role. It may be more in the type of plays, which is what we've been waiting for, right? Is there a guy? And I guess a little bit, Matt Collins was that guy last year. Not as many total catches and total yards, but he made some big plays and got down the field. And that's Matt Collins. What I would say this about Elijah Moore, I mean, they have money invested in him. It's not an absurd amount. It's a 1-year deal.
Right.
Let's see what he can do. So cautiously optimistic that he can have a role with this team.
Where do you see, I think GR was talking about it, like what Elijah Moore is the Bills' blank wide receiver. Which
you mean in number?
Number?
Like, that's where I have a hard time, like, seeing. And again, I'm also not trying to sound like more wide receivers that are good is a good problem for Joe Brady and this Bills offense and Josh Allen to have. It's just kind of like what we went last year, where it's like, how do all of the utensils fit in the silverware drawer? Because you fear a lot of these overlap. Now, again, if Moore can play more on the outside.
Sorry. Moore can play more. Sorry.
Child.
That's fair.
That's great. And I'm
well,
sure
he probably is going to have to. And they do some things to do. There's the open. Where there's bunch formations where you're not really sure who's the slot, who's on the outside.
Yes.
I mean, they can do that. I do see a group with those 5 that I don't see a special teams player in there. I don't really see a returner. You have guys who can play in that role, but that's not their prime role.
I'm not overly concerned about a Bills wide receiver needing to play teams.
No, but my point is, if you're going to play, you're going to be active as a 5th wideout. What role is there for you? Is it 10 snaps, 12 snaps, 20 snaps? It's also meritocracy. Go earn the snaps.
Yeah.
When he does, if he's making plays, they're going to have him out there.
Yeah.
And he'll try to build a trust. That's what we always talk about with Josh. You go make a few plays for him. That's what I say this again because it's Mac, but that's what Mac did.
Yep.
He built a trust. And by the end of the year, we were like, throw it to Mac because he'll catch it. And he did at the end of the year.
That's why I kind of want, and this goes into our next topic, which is Kincaid and possibly a Kincaid comeback. But some people were pushing back on our You Ask, We Answer video saying like, well, the Bills need to utilize Kincaid more in the offense. And to me, what I say back to that is if he was sure-handed, big-time playmaker, you would give him the ball. You would give him those opportunities. You would seek him out because that's what you do. It's a meritocracy. So if he was making these plays, you would want to keep feeding him because of that. And so to me, it's like there is work that needs to be done for Kincaid this season to solidify himself as now year 3. I know a lot of people say tight end's a very challenging position to adjust to in the NFL, and it takes time. It's been time.
Well, here's the way I would look at it. First of all, you have to be fair to Dalton Kincaid. Jay Skursky did a little Q&A with him and read it because it's basically what it is. Jay asked the question, he prints his answer. So you see it. He was giving reasons, not excuses for his play in his knees. Listen, that impacted him in one way or the other. So you have to say, let's see where he is physically this year, right? But the expectation is there. I don't like I know it's statistics, it's numbers, and the way it's judged, that all of a sudden it's like he and Josh, and the issue is Josh.
I agree.
He's the MVP of the league. He makes plays with everyone, and he wasn't making it with a guy who he is good friends with and was a number 1 pick.
Yeah.
And I understand the level of patience. It's year number 3. This train moves. That's why I don't want to hear about Keon being young. I don't care. When Josh is dropping back to pass, he didn't give a crap if he's 22 or 28. If he's there, he's throwing him the ball.
Yep.
So this is the NFL. So that's when I look at Kincaid. If he's healthy this year, and we can talk about the way he looks, then he's going to either make plays or he's not. And maybe Joe Brady does need to adjust a little bit.
But
maybe he does. I'm saying is I'm going to give him this little leeway into this because the Bills obviously want to see Kincaid be really good this year.
That's the one thing I will push back on. If you believe that Dalton Kincaid can still be this top 5 tight end in the league, that's fine. We can disagree with where we think about Kincaid, but leave Joe Brady out of it. Like, so Joe Brady makes everybody else better, but he holds back Dalton Kincaid, to your point. Like, I don't buy that. Joe Brady has done, and he's been the one of embracing this everybody eats. He wishes he had a guy that could be an all-you-can-eat buffet and he could feed the ball to all the time. He hasn't had that. And if the Bills want Dalton Kincaid to be that guy, the opportunity is there. And so if you want to talk about the injuries and you want to talk about Josh's off-target throws, fine. I won't push back. I will push back on the fact that Joe Brady has been so good at reinventing this offense to build up Josh Allen as an MVP, but it's Joe Brady needs to do a better job for Dalton Kincaid. I don't buy it at all.
I guess I would just say there are some things, and it's going to play itself out. And I think it's going to play itself out certainly by the middle of the season, where you're going to be like, okay, was it those things, or were those the reasons he wasn't going to? Because he is tight end one. He's in a big year, third year of a rookie contract. It's where they make big decisions on him. And the expectations in that building are high for Dalton Kincaid. So you, as fans, if you love Dalton and you think he's going to be great, this is a big year for you because he's going to need to show it. And I'm not saying he can't. He just didn't.
Year last year.
No,
yes, but I'm saying is he did deal with knee injuries. He did have those things. So if that's what you believe, it's easy to say that even as a fan in May. You're like, well, he was hurt. Okay, what are you seeing in him in September and October and November when they need him to make plays? Was it that, or is it something else? Or is he just going to be a good player, but not the exceptional player they thought they got in the first round?
Yeah, and I think everything is ahead of Kincaid this season.
Yeah.
Like, I think the injuries did impact him. You said that in the interview with Jay Skursky. And that now, he has the offseason to get healthy. He has another year knowing this offense, another year working with Joe Brady. He's obviously very close with Josh Allen. Like, everything is in front of him. He just needs to take advantage, and we'll see how that pans out this season. But I think you're right. Like, this last year was a big year because, he did have a solid like freshman first year in the NFL. And obviously he did take a step back last season. So what can he do this year to kind of either way prove if he was worth it to move up and for that first round pick, or if it was, a swing and a miss.
And he did say in that interview, he worked a lot with the Bills conditioning staff to come back. Now, he doesn't physically appear bigger, anything like that. It doesn't mean he's not stronger. They're doing walkthrough basically drills and then non-contact and all that. So you're not really seeing it. When you come to camp, if fans come to camp or you see him, he looks about the same to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's any different, but the knee is a thing. He's got this long sleeve on the knee. Like, let's see where he is when it starts for real.
I feel like he looks skinnier. Now, does that mean play strength?
We're not body shaming, though. We are not body shaming on this.
Honestly, I'm jealous. No, I'm kidding. No, to me, but also they were not in pads or anything like that.
Safe to say he doesn't look like where you go. Like Dan made the point of the 1 year when Trey came back.
When Trey came back from his ACL and he was at training camp and he took his shirt off and I went like, whoa, like this guy is jacked.
Yeah.
Like, and again, we're not expecting him to add 20 pounds of muscle and bulk up, but it's understanding taking that beating. And this was a guy that had a little bit of injury concerns. How would he hold up through college, through the draft process? And now we're seeing it still in year two, very similar concerns about his physique and the way that his body can handle it.
And this, we can move on from this, but at the end point, when you said we're not expecting, it isn't us. It's Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott.
We're not in the building.
They're the ones who are saying this is an expectation for them.
Yeah.
But Sean McDermott did compliment Kincaid and say that he is in this offseason, what?
We're in it. Best shape of their lives.
Best shape of their lives.
He didn't say best shape of his life.
No, it's trust me. You're seeing the clips from every team's social media.
Guys in the best shape of his life.
ML Football, Dove, they're all sitting there going like, look at how yoked this guy is. This guy. And we are in it. Best shape of their life.
You are right. But that is not what McDermott said. He said he was essentially proud of what Dalton Kincaid has done in the weight room in the offseason.
We're going to get an upcoming bill coming on this channel in the near future. I'm going to ask him if he's in the best shape of his life.
Okay, that's good.
That will be a question.
Yes, we
have. Are you
somebody...
in the best shape of your life?
No. Nope, that ship has sailed.
No.
All anybody's got to do is
Pilates.
watch the Pilates. Oh, by the way, I got Pilates shamed in my spin class today.
Really?
Yeah. Oh,
Shamed?
Karen called it out.
That's amazing.
Told everybody, and I told them the truth. I said, listen, the truth was it was heated.
No.
In my mind, it was a amped, heated Pilates torture class. And I told them it was done in a black ops site so nobody could see it.
That is the most quiet I've ever heard you in my entire life.
It's because I was dying.
Also, I took a bar class today, and it was so much harder than that class that I was like, Mike and Dan would be crying in a corner right now.
I was sore for 3 days.
Like this bar class. Whew.
You know what? Next time we go, Keon and Kincaid are coming with us. We'll get those guys going.
Next year, we're seeing how many times you can bench 225 guys if I win the picks.
Yeah. I'm going to need a spotter for sure.
That's it.
Yeah, like a bagel and 2 broomsticks. Or 2 bagels and 1 broomstick.
That's
all right.
how it would work.
That's someone said that. I don't remember. Okay. You mentioned Keon.
Yeah. Keon looks bigger.
Also
He
approaching
does.
best shape of his life.
Keon's
Keon does-
always in good shape.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Keon does look, I agree.
Yeah. And he did aggressively go after the ball, made a couple of nice plays. Again, it's OTAs, but you want to see that out of him. And he was a rookie last year.
Mhm.
And I'm just hopeful, and we'll see, that he is aware of those things and he worked on those things. We won't know until you really see them play, but he's a very important player to them this year. And they need him to be better. They've called him out.
Yeah.
They called him out.
Yeah.
And then McDermott
Credited him. Right?
yeah.
Credit
to Keon. It was someone else. Never mind. It was bad podcasting. Someone said credit to them. Oh, it was the Amherst.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think with Keon getting bigger and, being, what did Sean say? His body, he could tell he worked on his body and worked on drills.
Right.
I still think that Keon may be playing out of position. That in a perfect world, if you had to draw up an offense that Keon got placed in, I think he'd be a big power slot.
That's our friends at Reception Perception.
They've
been saying that about Keon since before he was picked, that's the type of player he was. And he told us that at Combine.
Like in a perfect world, the Bills are going to line up in the 11 personnel on the first snap of the season, and it's going to be Palmer, Kincaid on the outside, Shakir in the middle, Kincaid and the running back. Did I say
2 Kincaids?
Okay, Kincaid, Shakir, Coleman, and Palmer with Cook as the running back. And I think as of right now, if we go through last season, like that corner on the outside against Keon is feeling pretty comfortable and feeling pretty confident going up against Keon on the outside. I mean, the analytics show that he did not separate on the outside. And that's where they almost are forced to play Kincaid, obviously, as that inline guy, and they've invested in all of those things. I get it. But if you could have Shakir in one slot and Keon on the other, that's a powerful offense.
Yeah.
And if you went 10 personnel and went 1 running back and no tight end, and they don't really do that because they like to run out of those sets. But that's where I think in a perfect world, Keon bulking up could be like the Puka of the Bills offense, where it's like you're a big physical guy that can overpower slot corners. You'd be too fast for linebackers and you'd be a real mismatch.
Let's be honest. Brandon Beane said from the beginning that Keon's an outside guy.
From
day one, but they had already had Kincaid in place. So this is the guy they ended up with. I think they feel like his skill set could translate. Maybe it will. Maybe he spends part of the time and he's better on the outside than he was last year. But obviously that's a huge key.
My thing was going this past week to OTS was like, I wanted to just see, looking at Keon, do I feel like he paid attention to what was said to him in the offseason and applied himself? And I feel like that's what you can ask. Now, what does that mean? And what will that look like come training camp and the start of the season? We don't know yet, but he heard and understood what was being asked of him. And he, at this point, up until now, has applied himself to do what is needed. So that to me that's step one. And he heard that and took it to heart. And that's what you need from a younger guy.
But Keon also looked impressive at minicamp, rookie minicamp, OTAs, and training camp last year. Like that was good. It was when you get those pads on and when you have to be able to get releases and separation amongst the masses. That's where he struggled. So while I'm happy that I want to see agility, I want to see those weapons in his tool belt that he can get releases, get open quickly, be explosive at the line of scrimmage to develop there. That's where they need to. He was physically imposing last year. I saw the guy being like, he looks like a grown man. Like he's got all of that. It's, can you do the other wide receiver things? Can you break down quickly and get in and out of your routes? Are your cuts more crisp? We saw it in the Miami game back in week 2. Like, it wasn't good. Steve Smith was the one calling him out. Like, this is easy for cornerbacks to cover. It's that more explosiveness, the footwork that I think we need to see Keon, because again, when you're in college, he's physically more imposing than other guys in college. You can just physically be better. Now everybody's good. And Sean talked about that. Like, it's a step up. So to your point, I agree. And if Keon worked on that footwork stuff and worked on those drills, it could be a big season for Keon, because if he can win on the outside, that changes so much of this Bills offense.
I totally hear you. I just feel like at this point in the year, I'm like, did he address what was asked of him in the not in pads, all that stuff? Yes. That's step 1. Check that off. Let's get to June and July and then August.
I will say this about Keon. I do think he wants to be really good. I think he feels like he's going to get there, but you can want it. It's on this field. Like, they just don't wait. Then certainly defenses, they see things, and maybe to your point, right where you started, maybe he's playing out of position, but for right now, he's going to have to adjust.
My thing is, you can want to be good, but are you going to work to be good?
Yeah.
And I think we saw a very raw prospect in Keon.
Yep.
Which is what you expected.
Yeah.
Which is, it's what we expected, but how can he now fine tune his skill set and then improve upon it? Because that's what the Bills need him to do.
It's Kincaid. We were sitting there going, this year's a big year for Kincaid. Last year was a big year. Keon's still a raw product.
Yeah.
He was raw last year. How much more of a finished product are you?
Yep.
It's a little bit of deja vu.
I don't know about trying to ask men to change. I don't know if I recommend.
Not everybody is like Dan and I. I will just tell you that.
Oh, you guys have changed
immensely.
So much.
Yeah.
Okay.
We evolve.
The next topic, Cook in the kitchen. Old James Cook talk.
Yeah.
That's one of the big storylines of this offseason.
Well, right now there's no cook in the kitchen. And I guess I would look at it and say, what happens to this team, whether it's either at camp and not participating, or, as you get closer to the season. Right now, I agree with people when they say what he's missing isn't really impacting him or the team.
He is not on a boat, as far as we know.
I know.
A former Bill.
But there are two ways to look at that. In one way, somebody's like, hey, all these other guys are getting an opportunity. The other way to look at it is the team's also going, here's these other guys. And it might make James Cook look better, which is, I think, what he's kind of hoping for, right?
Yep.
Where they're like, we're missing this of what Jimbo gives us when he's out there.
And they love
on
Jimbo.
The field. They do.
They love James.
I just think in terms of this team has had a lot of time to prepare for the idea of it. At some point, Cook is playing. You're not sitting out the year. I don't even see, we've seen guys try to do that press where they go late into the season. It's been a while since anybody's done that, because you have to be by week 10 to count for the year. I do not see that happening at all with him.
The guy for the Jets did it.
Who was it?
It was from the Eagles. Reddick.
Oh, yeah. Yes. And then he showed up and he was bad. And now I think he's not showing up at OTAs again.
Yeah. Because he wanted the better contract.
He wants a better contract in this case. I just am wondering what it looks like if he's not, for whatever these reasons, if he's not on the field. They would need to do something. They would go out and get a veteran to add with these guys. As much as we all like Ray Davis and we think Ty Johnson's a good player, there's no question they would want another running back, because those guys' roles are not, first of all, you're not going to play 80% of the snaps if you're Ray Davis all of a sudden.
Yeah.
You look at me, you're going to disagree with me.
Wow. Really?
I don't know.
Really? Can we, a little inside your head, what are you thinking?
God, that's a scary thing.
That's a terrifying place to be. I don't know. I think they have to prepare a little bit that it's Ty, and there could be a waiver pickup at the end of
Or a
camp when
trade.
yeah, for a third back, and you're rolling with their running back 2A and 2B like we thought. I don't know. This hasn't gotten to this point. I don't think this has been that ugly.
I'm with you.
Of a dialogue. You've heard teammates, you've heard Bean, you've heard McDermott all say the right things. I don't care about what his posts are on social media and liking that running backs are getting paid. That's fine. That whatever. And again, Deion said it best. Like, we all respect each other getting their money. Like, we understand that. When it comes down to it, we all hope everybody's here. It'll all get worked out. But I think there does have to be a weird scenario where you're preparing to have a season without James. I agree. I think he will be on the team. I think this will be his last year, but I think that he will be here this year because I don't think it helps his stock or his value if he sits out a whole year.
By the way, I know we have a very smart watching and listening audience. Just if you know anybody, don't be that guy or that woman that says, guy's under contract, he's got to be there. That ain't the way the NFL works. No. Okay? Because he doesn't have a lot of guaranteed money in this. They could just cut him and he doesn't get any of it. That's the way it works in this league, or it gets a very small percentage of it. That's not NFL contracts. So when you hear somebody say, these guys signed for 3 years or 4 years, they got to be there. This is the year for him to get a new deal. Mm-hmm. Whether he's set his sights too high, he doesn't think so. He thinks they're too low. That's what negotiations happens. But I'm curious about,
let's talk tariffs.
Do they, oh God, do they really want it to work for a long-term deal? The Bills.
No.
So when is Joe Marino actually brought up a really good point. I think he was on somewhere and he mentioned Bean's never paid a running back.
Right.
Like, and yes, I think he's always been looking for the guy.
I do.
He was in on McCaffrey.
Dan broke that story.
He was in on McCaffrey. He's been in on running backs.
Brandon confirmed it.
Yes. So it's interesting to try and balance that between what they view the position as.
Yeah.
Do they view when they break up the salary cap and they say, hey, this is how comfortable we feel at paying that position? And do we think James is worth 90% of that position if what you're going to pay him?
Jenna, do you think of all these guys that they've had in there,
yes,
he's the best one?
Yeah. You didn't even have to finish the question. Right. Yes.
He has a skill set that helps.
I get it. Like, is it the sexiest thing to pay a running back? No. But I look at teams, like I look at the Eagles, and when you have a star and you have an impact difference maker, why, like, to me, it's like you found the guy, you drafted him. Why not pay him? And I hear you, it's a running back, and I think
to your point though, it's a playmaker, and he did make plays. It's what they see him in terms of now at the right number. Maybe the Bills would say, it's fine, we'll pay him $10 million.
I just don't think that number and what they value, it's high enough. But to me, it's like you have been taking so many swings at trying to get a talent at that position.
Are they trying to get that
Devin Singletary? But like, you found him. That's the byproduct. I mean, Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, James Cook.
Like, yes, it's a playmaker, but is it a playmaker worth $13 million? Because when you talk about, you look at the Eagles or you look at the Ravens, like there's a pretty large drop off between Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, and wherever you fit James Cook in.
That's fair.
So it's tough when it's like, whether it's the wide receiver Higgins.
Yeah.
Like,
T.
Higgins. Hey, I want to be paid like Jamar Chase. It's like, that's adorable. Like, that's great.
But I'm not saying it needs to be the same amount as what those guys make.
But it seems like that's around where James wants to be.
And so then the question is, does it end up being where Cook's like, the Bills are offering this, and they can come to more of an agreement on it, and then do the Bills then say, we like him enough that at that number this works for us? Or do they just refresh and bring somebody else in?
My thing is, like, it's James Cook's decision and how much he values himself. And if the Bills are going to say, we just don't value a position, we're not going to give you this number. Or if it's close to what he wants, that is James' decision. Do you want to make more money, or do you want to take a little bit less and stay in Buffalo? But if I'm Brandon Beane, it's like you finally found someone that has been a weapon I would be closer and more inclined to give him a number closer to what he wants than to be like, you know what, we're all set.
I think you're right. It just feels impactful that Brandon sort of pulled back quickly. It was like,
I'm not, yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying is because I don't think their number is close at all. So I don't think the Bills are going to.
No, I'm saying from my point of view.
Oh, okay.
Like I don't think the Bills. I think this will be James Cook's last year on the Bills. But I'm saying like you have tried to make so many guys work in your offense, and James Cook is a weapon other than Josh. Why wouldn't you continue to pay him?
Yeah.
Like
the only reason
you paid other guys. Like I don't know. I just think that what he adds, you've taken. I mean, Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, Ray Davis. Obviously, you drafted James Cook as well. And I get it. It's the running back position. They get a lot of miles. And then how much do you value it? But my thing is just you found a guy that does what you want. Why wouldn't you pay him? Why wouldn't you? Again, that's me. And I'm not Brandon Beane. And I don't think Brandon Beane and I see eye to eye on what this all looks like for James Cook. But I would be more inclined to be at a number closer to what James Cook wants.
Yeah, they seem like they're leasing the car instead of buying it. They just keep going back for a new
I
lease.
completely agree. But do you see what I'm saying?
Oh, I agree. And we've talked about it. James Cook made plays that nobody else except Josh Allen on the roster would make.
And I want everybody to get paid. I want James to get his $15 million wherever that is.
For the record, I like there are players you gave Curtis Samuel a lot of money. You've given other guys a decent amount of money. And I think that James Cook, other than Josh Allen, in terms of a playmaker, has been the most impactful.
Yeah.
Why not pay him? Other teams are paying running backs and it's worked out for them. Now, is James Cook, Derrick Henry, or Saquon Barkley? No. But is the NFL going to now start to swing a little bit if you find a guy that can make a difference?
It's not just it's not even in the same stratosphere. It's the difference. I mean, you are talking about guys that had, well, in Barkley's case, as many snaps as Ray and James Cook had combined. He had, 2,000 yards? He had 7 touchdowns of over 50 yards.
His Eagles is showing.
No, what I'm saying is when you talk about playmakers, that's why Christian McCaffrey got paid.
Yep.
Because he's beyond running back.
Correct.
It's like having
if you take away James Cook from this offense, though, that scares me.
I
don't think there's another guy that can be. I think Khalil Shakir is great, but other than that, I'm like, how else are you going?
It is funny that I said that about it. And last year when the Eagles signed Barkley, he got the same amount of money as Gabe Davis because of position value. Now he's gotten more since then. Oh, you're win horse.
No, it was just. Would you have said so? Like I said, I hear your argument for James Cook in favor of him.
Yeah.
If you are his
and again,
agent,
I don't think the Bills will pay him.
Right. I'm not disagreeing with your argument.
Yeah.
I'm playing the other side, and I'm saying this is a not for long league, and when you're banking on the investment that James Cook wants, would you have said these same things about James Cook last year?
No.
No, but he did show it last season.
And like I said, if he doesn't play in the Week 18 game and get 1,000 yards,
I still think he was. I think he was absolutely.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm not dismissing your claim.
No, I get it. I feel like
go off, Queen.
No, I'm a little frustrated because like I know the Bills aren't feeling this way about James Cook, and I know you guys. I get it. I totally understand. There's a drop off from Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley to James Cook.
And McCaffrey.
And Christian McCaffrey when healthy. I just feel like taking away James Cook from this offense, you take out a lot of impact.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like they've had pedestrian running backs and the offense has struggled. Now, was Josh Allen the same guy that he is now? No, but also, again, it's the handcuffing of Josh Allen that bothers me. Like, why don't you want to give him someone else to help carry the burden, shoulder the load of scoring points for the Bills?
And this is why Bean gets paid the money. Right?
There will be comments in here that say, thank goodness you guys aren't GMs of an NFL
team.
Which
is
fine. I say, my SUNY Fredonia degree in journalism didn't really.
Except Brandon Beane is the one who stepped away basically from negotiating right now and signed him to a long-term deal. So we're only commenting on that. A week from now, you could see James Cook signs a 4-year deal with the Bills. Like, we don't, not in the building, don't know what they think other than you say it. Don't listen to their words, see their actions. And that was their, words and actions. So let's see.
All right, let's go to Cole Bishop.
Spicy.
No, I feel like you guys are like, yeah, but they don't feel, yeah, I know. I am very aware.
That is a very good point. The difference would be they want him to play this year and then move on. I think that's what it is. And then they would plan in the offseason to replace him with another guy.
When we're pushing back on the other side, doesn't mean that we're saying yours is wrong.
No, I know, but what is it? People love picks. They don't always love the player. Like, just because you're drafting, what do we always say after the draft? They addressed this need. That does not mean that player is going to be good.
No, they might trade for Jonathan Taylor, though.
They traded for Nyheim Hines. How did that work out?
I mean, Jonathan Taylor's another notch up. So,
do you think they would do that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm just throwing his name out there.
I think that Jonathan Taylor is a more complete back, less explosive, more complete back.
As long as they have a high caliber player at that position, I'm fine with that.
I will finish with this.
No,
Ray
let's
Davis,
go on a couple 30, 40 more minutes on
I
this.
like Ray Davis a lot, and I think he can be better.
Yeah.
And I like Ty Johnson. I'm with you. Right now, running back position is a weakness on this team, not a strength. With James Cook, it's a strength. Right now, because they don't have that other guy, and you're hoping that a guy like Ray Davis can evolve into getting much more of a part of the offense. And then you don't have Ray Davis behind him. So they would need another player. It's not going to matter. James Cook's going to play. I think he's playing the year out, and then they have to make a call.
One more thing. I don't mean to spook. I just want to say one more thing. Losing Stephon Diggs was more of an impact on the offense. They were able to adapt. If James Cook were to be traded tomorrow.
But it's because James Cook stepped up. Like, he was one of the players that stepped up.
When they needed it, and they really needed it last year.
I'm just saying, like, you're talking about the hole that they would be without with James Cook. I think losing Stephon Diggs left a bigger hole than if James Cook were to leave. In this hypothetical that I don't believe is happening.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
I think in name, Stephon Diggs.
Replacing like a 1,200-yard receiver.
I just think you guys don't value running back enough. I guess really. I value it more than you do.
Like, not really.
Well, yeah, then that goes into...
For a 2-down running back?
Okay. Again,
I love Ty Johnson. I think he's got such a nice niche role and
niche. Yes. Well, you can say it both ways, but yeah. Okay, Cole Bishop.
God, I feel like it's a real letdown. It's nothing about Cole.
Yeah. Nice guy.
He's got to be good. They
drafted him.
Well, not only did they draft him, they didn't really do anything this year.
Spicy.
I'm just so... It's fine. Everything's fine.
Let's be clear. We can be very annoying.
No, I mean, Yes, well, we can all be annoying. I know that I can be annoying too.
I also love that, like, this is the first time in a little bit that Jenna's really passionate about something. Now you know what it's like for me to be on the outside and just getting like Jon Snow, like fighting off everybody. That's Jenna right now. It's like, no, but you don't get it. It's James Cook.
Yeah,
that's what makes it a good pod.
No, I get that. I just feel like...
Can we get back to Cole Bishop?
No.
It's just the handcuff. Like, whatever. Okay, Cole Bishop.
How did DeMar look?
I'll be honest, I didn't notice.
Okay.
I mean, he looked like DeMar.
The reason I bring it up is because they didn't add really to the safety position.
That's correct.
So they expect Cole Bishop. I think the expectation is he knows the defense better. He wasn't healthy last year in the spring and into the in training camp, and he got behind, and he was okay when he played. They expect him to be better. They have the security in knowing that DeMar has started a ton of games, so he can start if they needed him to, but they absolutely have high expectations for Cole Bishop.
They added Derek Forrest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So who has started in the league. He's played in the league, and he'll probably play a lot of special teams.
Yeah, this safety unit is meh. It's a unit. Like, it's secondary concerns, like they're trying to figure out what the cornerback situation is. you hope that it's not just rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. Like,
Well,
you hope that Cole elevates, like we've talked about with Kincaid, like we've talked about with Keon, and takes that next step. Keon, Kincaid, Cole.
Yeah.
It's an alliteration, I think,
Yes.
somewhere in there. Guys that need to step up.
Do you, like, let's say we're going into the season and Cole Bishop is safety number 3. What are your thoughts?
Big concerns then about Cole's future.
Yeah, because
Agreed.
they've given him, like, right now, it was certainly understandable
question, Jenna.
last year. It is, because unless there's an injury, that means you didn't beat out DeMar. And for all the people with their weird takes on DeMar, they absolutely want Cole Bishop to be the
100%.
starter.
And if there is another injury in camp, that's another massitive concern, because it is time on task. That is Sean's big thing. It is time on task, especially for a position.
Oh,
Sorry. I think I swallowed a bug there. Time on task.
Maybe he talks too much.
Almost went down there. And I lost it.
Time on task.
you're talking about time on task. Cole Bishop.
Because then it's a durability thing. If he's getting injured for a second year at camp and missing more time, like, that's tough.
Yeah. They are giving him, in my estimation, the opportunity for it to be his job. Like, I think it's his job to lose. And what will come of that, we don't know. But
Sean has high expectations in general for safeties.
Yes.
yeah.
He was very fortunate on his own doing with the 2 guys he had there.
Yeah.
That was like, let them play. We'll take care of everything else.
It was, they didn't matter time on task.
They were
like,
just,
towards the end, it was like, if you guys don't want to practice, don't want to play, you're fine. Your knowledge back there is everything. So hopefully Micah coming back to kind of coach Cole at the end of the year kind of shows about that. But again, that is such a massive position communication wise for that defense. And if Terrell Bernard doesn't have to be the traffic cop on every single play and can trust what's going on behind him, I think that's also a big asset for Terrell Bernard, number 8.
It looked so weird.
Yeah.
It just looked weird.
He has to buy his old jerseys.
Yeah, you got to buy them all. That's a buzzkill.
Yeah.
It just was weird.
Were Kyer's jerseys easier to buy when he switched numbers?
James Palmer has that. Oh, when he switched, now Palmer has 5.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But that was available now.
That was available.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit more about the secondary.
Remember Kyer?
People don't forget. That corner spot opposite Christian Benford.
Can I just start with something? I'm so excited about the corner position this year. I love they drafted 3 players. I want to see Trey do well. I do think it is the most excited I've been about this group in a while, because I like what the young players bring to it.
Okay.
I like the fact that we know Trey knows the position, and Dane. I don't know why I was there when Dane.
Read your mind.
Yes. Dane know the position. So we know those guys can play in the defense, right? We know that. And you've got Benford on the other side. I'm very excited about the corners, and I like the mix of athleticism and toughness that they can bring. And and always I say all this, I didn't even mention Taron Johnson in the slot back again, because you just know that he's there. So I think I'm more excited about the corner position than any other group.
Are you most excited about Hairston?
I think he brings something they haven't had. He brings that speed. He brings that attacking the ball a little bit. I mean, he could be that player. It's a long way off, but he's going to earn that spot, because like we've said, Trey's right there and he's started and been an all-pro in that spot. Yeah. But he's going to earn it if he's the starter week number 1. So line up against Lamar and the Ravens week number 1. Yeah. Just like they gave to a Christian Benford to line up against the Super Bowl champion Rams on the road week number 1, which they did.
Week 12. Who is the Bills' corner 3?
Ooh. It's a good question.
Thank you.
You have one in mind.
No, I would love it to be Dorian Strong. I'd love it to be.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I think there's a good chance it could be Trey White if those guys aren't progressing the way that they need to be. And again, I'm not going to overreact about an OTA practice where guys ran past Trey White. Like, I'm just not going to overreact to any of that. We'll see more in training camp when we get closer to game time, what tread Trey still has left.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, it's, if nothing else, like, he was still able to get on the field with the Rams and the Ravens. Like, there was enough there that, because of whether it's between the ears and maybe not as much below the shoulders as what it used to be, I still think Trey White is a very good, as we've said, floor to have for this team.
By the way, I'm so impressed for you that you navigated that.
Yeah.
Trey.
I'm not going to lie. You started and I was like, whoa.
I know where you were going.
Also, it was just seeing Trey out there for OT. That was cool.
Sean said that too.
Yeah.
They were at the office and he's like, it's pretty
Trey.
cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
He feels like his old self, like just the jokes and the smile, seeing him out there. That's
feels
nice.
right.
Yep.
Yeah, it does. Who do you think's corner 4? Like, what if Max Hairston went very wrong?
Well, that would be, and it does happen. Even, I mean, he's a late first round pick, an exciting player, but it does happen where they're just not getting it right away.
Mm-hmm.
So you still have Ingram on the team, who they like on special teams. He's going to be active on the roster and playing. He made big plays. The Dolphins took it back to the house for a touchdown. So that was a pretty crappy pass. Ed Oliver made that play.
Yes.
Yeah, I was remembering that play. Knocked him down to it, put it right in his hands, but he took it to the house. So yeah, the expectations are higher for
now.
Max.
Now I understand, because like, if Ingram's your 5th or 6th corner, pretty good room.
Yeah.
Pretty good room.
Okay. Joey Bosa. Sean McDermott said at OTAs this week that Bosa pulled his calf and that he will be out for the spring, but the hope, expectation, training camp. Now, obviously injuries are a part of his past. It is May, but the fact that he has this cropping up now, what is your level of concern and what do you think long-term?
Sean McDermott said it's concerning. He said that in May. He said it the other day. So it is, because this is the type of thing you worry about with a player that's got some miles on him and has had these soft tissue issues before. Maybe they're being overly cautious, which you can hope for. But he did say the rest of the spring. So at that point, it's a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You're not running him out on the field for even the mandatory one. He's around, getting him ready for camp. I still think camp, it's a ramp up process for him.
Yeah.
You want that dude on the field week number 1, rushing Lamar, right? But yeah, it's concerning, because those are the kind of things that keep you out for a month during the season or more.
Oh, and those are the kind of things that can linger, those soft tissue things. But you say like getting him out on the field for week 1. I hear that. But for a lot of fans are saying like, keep him in bubble wrap until.
Yeah, but he's got to be out there. He's got to do.
I'm just telling you like what people were like, it's fine that he is injured now. We don't need him now.
Well, I agree with that part in terms of the timeline for him to play in September. Yes. It's just the idea is like, oh, it's not like he twisted his ankle. That can happen, more, or jammed his hand, going in for a pass rush drill. It's the soft tissue stuff that I think they would be concerning.
He didn't cut a finger fishing, like say where you're like, this is fluky. And Von Miller will have his phone nearby.
Yeah, I think.
Do you think?
Could it happen? He's a free agent. It could happen. He could sign with the Bills. It could.
He's a Raven. I feel like he's lining up against the Bills week 1.
Ravens or Chiefs, and he's going to get the podium that
week.
week.
I love Lamar.
It was an honor to play with Josh.
Yeah.
This is my 48th year in the NFL.
Could definitely hear that. All right. We talked D-line. A lot of new additions there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a storyline. Is obviously we saw how the Eagles, all the D-line pressure they got in the Super Bowl. I think that was a lasting thing in a lot of people's minds. And the Bills, they went out this season and they beefed up their D-line and tried to change things up a little bit because they know that they've needed to have more pressure.
Yeah, this feels like a totally revamped, like this is a complete overhaul. I think even the guys, am I boring them?
No. No, sorry, I didn't sleep last night.
You just straight up yawned during a take.
Sorry.
Thank God the
I
camera
got a
was
lot
not
going
it.
on.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I think this is a great opportunity. If you're a TJ Sanders or if you're a
Landon
Jackson,
Jackson.
like you have a great opportunity to come right in and make plays in this spot. And if you're a guy like AJ Epinesa, you're trying to hold on for dear life.
I would agree because they were active and in free agency too. Even though those guys will wait 6 weeks to come on board. So they did revamp. That's a good word. They revamped this position. They made Greg a cornerstone. They did. They paid him.
He needs to increase his physicality.
That
Mike,
is.
Mike,
Yes.
that's your boy.
He'll be ready.
Who said that?
Sean McDermott.
Yes. He did.
He did.
He was
Let's go.
around the quarterback a lot,
Come
though.
on, Craig. I'm counting on you. Let's go.
He was around the quarterback.
Well, it's better than the rest of them.
It went right to he gets us in and out of the huddle really well.
By the way, can I add you
Ooh.
made fun of my Eagles thing. I will say this about the Eagles last year. Their D-line, especially their pass rushers, were not great for a lot of the year.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
They didn't care. It was in the big moments that they came through.
That feels like the Bills wide receivers. Like it was a big deal. And then the offense was so good. And it's like, well, hey, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You got to make the plays when it matters
It's
most.
the lasting impression.
It's the
lasting
Whatever
impression.
happens last
Yeah.
is the lasting impression.
Yes.
Like you forget that through 5 weeks of the season.
That is
the
why
Bills,
James Cook, that
yeah.
bleeping touchdown. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude is a baller.
Like I
Incredible.
guess that's my point where it's like Josh wins the MVP. The offense was so great, scored the most points out of any team in the league. And you're like, yeah, but in week 5, you thought their wide receivers sucked and you had to trade
Right.
a 3rd round pick for Amari Cooper, who now is not coming back.
yes.
Well, and in the biggest
So it's
moment
like,
in
yeah.
the AFC Championship, you didn't have
Right. So.
enough. And you didn't have enough D-line pressure on the other side.
Yep.
So.
Ain't.
Last thing, Hard Knocks.
What's the pun?
Hard Knock Life.
There it is. We're really good at these. How's it go?
Hard Knock Life.
I think it's a great thing for the franchise. I think it's a non-issue. I think this team is built to do well in this environment.
Yes.
I think they knew at some point they were going to have to do this. They're doing the mid-season, in season with the division, all those kind of things, and the off-season stuff. Here's the one thing when we talk about James Cook, the one thing that could be a distraction is if it's a hold-in.
Yes.
He's there and he's not practicing. Then
And
it
all the
becomes-
cameras are on him on the sideline.
Yes. Those things are weird. I don't know if that happens. I have no idea the way it plays out. But other than that, I'm not worried about this team.
Mhm.
I'm just not. I know a lot of fans are. First of all, if you just
What do
say
you mean
you're
worried?
they're worried. Some are worried that something bad comes out during camp. Like there's an issue, somebody says something.
Yeah, that's every.
And it gets out.
Yep.
Or the other thing is some people think it's like some sort of a jinx. No, it was crappy teams. that
Yeah.
yeah, they were
Hard Knocks.
non-playoff teams.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't worry about that. I think it's going to be a great thing for the
I agree.
organization. Not worried about it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Non-issue.
I'm excited. I think it'll be really cool.
I think Sean is going to do well.
I
Yeah.
agree 100%.
I agree. I think this will
Sean
be,
3 years ago, I don't know. Sean right now,
yes.
Yeah.
I think Sean will do very well. Obviously, Josh will do. We got to be like, when we ask questions, we got to be locked in case they use them.
I'm not very concerned about that.
Oh, excuse me.
I
I'm
people are
deeply
gonna-
concerned for myself.
people are going to, so those 8:00, Sean, what is it? Or what time? What time does he start? On the
I
camp?
feel like it's usually like
9.
9:00 now.
Yeah.
Yeah. 9:00. There's going to be people showing up at like 8:20.
Yeah.
Get my spot.
Yeah, that's fair.
Where are the cameras?
We're going to have a lot of Buffalo Plus gear.
That's right.
Speaking of, Dan, take the shot. This is an embroidered sweatshirt of Buffalo Plus. You can find it on the Buffalo Plus store, buffaloplusstore.com.
Big things also coming with the Buffalo Plus store. Hoping to have news on that coming up very shortly as well.
And
Yes.
and a reminder, if you love watching our podcast, you can always find the audio version available wherever you listen to your podcasts, creatively named Buffalo Plus. Keep it really simple here.
Yep.
But yeah, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe over there, as well as rate the podcast. We do appreciate that too. Anything else, gentlemen? Oh, we got to do credit to me.
I'll start mine quick. I was a outdoor helper, mulch spreader, plant ripper out for my wife this past weekend. It was lunacy. She is a florist. She is very demanding of what she wants. She works harder than me, but it was a lot. It is a lot. And the stuff looks really nice now, so I'm very happy. But at a certain point, somebody said to me, "Oh, how was your weekend?" I was like, I work like a dog.
The
ripping that stuff out.
weather has been horrendous. It has just rained every single day in May. It finally stopped raining, and my wife's like, "We got to mulch." I was like, "Mother."
Yes, a lot of mulch.
I
And
like mulching.
I will say also, and they are a sponsor at Channel 13, so I can say this. Shout out Garden Factory in our area.
Yeah.
That place is insane. The amount of stuff they have.
Yeah.
My wife, she could walk around there and like window shop at the
Yeah.
place. She loves everything she sees there. But that mulch was a lot of work and digging that stuff
I don't
out.
like that mulch the next day it doesn't pop like it.
Oh, I disagree. I love mulch because, first of all, it's like cover
God,
up for
you
your
guys are
lawn,
getting
for
old.
your.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, but truly, where you're like, the thing I don't mind about yard work is you can see the immediate result. Like if you
1000%.
weed something, you're like, I did that, and I can tell that I did that. Whereas some other stuff, it's like, oh my god, you know.
Yeah.
Like
I had to get the mulch ready for the backyard. See if we
Yeah.
get any visitors at camp this year.
It's a big
pressure's on.
That's it.
Got the Blackstone out there too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Same. We're all Blackstone family.
Look at
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. My parents
Game
got me
changer for
one.
breakfast.
That's
Game
it.
changer for breakfast. My credit to me is credit to urgent care. And for anybody that has
Oh, no.
small kids, Jenna knows exactly where this is going. We have just been, the house has just been sick. The house has been sick. My oldest had an ear infection. 48 hours later, the middle child had a double ear infection. So she topped the first one. God bless urgent care. And the oldest one gets the bubblegum medicine, loves it. She can take it all by herself. She's 4.5. The 1.5-year-old she cannot take amoxicillin. She's allergic to it. So she has to get this other stuff. We pretty much have to strap her down and shoot it in the back of her throat. It is very traumatic for her. It's very, if there are any helps, like any tips for helps, if there are any tips.
If there's any helps.
I was hot earlier.
Helps me.
Yeah. My daughter loves these like smoothies, so we just give her like a smoothie in like the cup with the straw.
So you spike the smoothie?
Yeah, and then she'll take a sip of it, and then she'll be like,
She knows.
She knows.
She knows.
She put it in peanut butter like
"Come here, good Ryan, good job."
that is tough because the bubble gum is like delicious.
Yeah, and she broke out in a rash all over.
no.
So
God.
Do you know
fair-skinned redhead.
Do you know what is it like? Just tastes like an antibiotic.
It tastes like strawberry, the one that she has now.
Oh, okay.
Like,
so it's not. It's
not
still
like it's not like
palatable.
medicine flavored.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. Oh, she really doesn't like
Yeah,
it. Though.
and like even if we're be like, hey, we're gonna get you a smoothie, and then like she walks in and we're like, she just knows.
Smart
We did
kid.
apple juice yesterday. Worked in apple juice, so
Oh.
hopefully that's the thing.
She could be
hate-
listening to the pod and knows.
It's very true.
Yeah.
But yeah, urgent cares. They just want to. We also have like one of the few pediatric urgent cares.
Do you have like a punch card?
We could. We walk in. They're like, "Hey, Dan."
Kind of drive through.
They're like, I
They're like, "Oh,
Buffalo,
punch.
I just put on
Next
Buffalo
visit's
Plus.
free."
You just hand it.
Yeah.
Which kid?
Yeah, we're like, we'll be back again with our 6-month-old when she gets her ear
Yeah.
infections.
Oh
But
no!
yeah, if there are any tips on how to get a 1.5-year-old to take medicine,
Tips or tricks?
Yeah.
Or helps.
helps.
That
Tips,
is
tricks, and
unreal.
helps.
Also, apple juice weirds me out. It just
What about frogs?
no, I hate frogs. Awful. Okay. My credit to me is actually going out to caregivers everywhere. So we've talked about my grandpa, love him, and it's he's 100 years old, but he has such an amazing team around him of nurses, specifically his one head nurse, Kelly. I just want to shout out just the incredible job that they've done and that every caregiver gives, because that is a full-time job, and there is the emotional investment and all those things, and it's got to be really challenging, but they make a world of difference. So I just wanted to shout out just all the amazing nurses and caregivers out there, because that is a really important job, but it's also very challenging. So just very
Great.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I just, we talk on a podcast, and these are people that are literally taking care of your loved ones
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
and looking after them and giving them the love and care that they deserve. So I just wanted to applaud them and all that they do. Yes. Because what we do does not matter.
Matters to you to like, comment, and subscribe. Matters to
Wow.
us.
What a plug. All right. That'll do it for us here. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. We always appreciate it.
Steph's picking us up on the boat.
I'm
he's
gonna-
pick us up.
I'm not on that boat.
Yeah. Just
Renee,
sit that one out.
Renee, I'm not on that boat.
All right. Let us know in the comments your thoughts on some of these topics. What you think of Kincaid and Keon, James Cook, the secondary, all that great stuff. So please let us know how you're thinking and feeling about everything as we get into June and mandatory minicamp soon. All right. For Mike Catalana and Dan Fates, I'm Jenna Cottrell. Thank you so much for joining us here on Buffalo Plus, presented by Connors and Ferris.